Hi, we're here today with Don Ernst in Leawood, Kansas. Don is an agent for Farmers Insurance. How long have you been with the company, Don?
39 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
And what kind of insurance do you sell?
All personal lines and small businesses.
Okay. Well, today we're going to talk about auto insurance. And what types of information should people bring to you to talk about auto insurance?
Well, on auto insurance would be the basic things that you would normally think about: their name, birth date, driver's license number. We have to include Social Security number now. Occupation usually helps. Their address has an influence on it, and naturally the vehicles and the vehicle identification numbers.
Okay. And do they need to know the model and make of the car also?
Well, that helps, but when we input the vehicle identification number, it automatically inputs all of that and the safety features of the vehicle. It's all pulled out of the ID number.
Oh, wow. And is that a special program or database?
It's in most insurance companies' database.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay, great. So then I know about 3 different kinds of auto insurance: property damage, liability insurance, and uninsured coverage. Are there any others that apply for a car? For a person?
Well, you get into the physical damage of the vehicle, the comprehensive and collision.
Okay.
Whether you carry towing and road service or rental car provision is sometimes helpful too.
Okay. So would comprehensive be what I referred to as property damage for the physical car?
Well, property damage is actually part of the liability, and the liability you have bodily injury and property damage liability.
Okay.
So you have different limits for that. When you start talking about the physical damage of the vehicle, you're talking about comprehensive and collision.
Okay. Great.
Comprehensive is basically anything other than collision: fire, theft, vandalism, hail, all the miscellaneous things.
Okay, great. And then how are rates determined for the different kinds of coverage in general?
Well, there's a lot of different factors that go into it. Driving record is one of them.
Okay.
Where you live, the type of vehicle you drive, your age, occupation, what limits of liability you carry, what deductibles you carry.
Now, sometimes I think if you lease a car, I know it's for leasing, and I'm not sure if you've got just a regular car loan, but I know on leases sometimes they require certain insurance limits. Is that because the company still owns the car, you don't own it?
Right, yeah. So they require, generally a leasing company will require limits of at least $100,000 per person, $300,000 per occurrence for bodily injury, and then $100,000 on the property damage.
What does that mean?
Okay, so if you're involved in an accident and it's your fault, and if you injure other people...
It's never my fault, by the way.
Yeah. So you have 3 limits of the liability: the per person and per occurrence limit on the bodily injury, and then the property damage. So if, for instance, you carried 100, 300, 100, that would be $100,000 per person, up to $300,000 per occurrence for bodily injury, and then $100,000 for whatever property damage that you did. So that's to fix the other car, house, bridge, whatever you happen to hit. They will send you a bill for that, by the way.
All right, and then uninsured coverage. What does that cover?
Uninsured motorist has similar limits to the bodily injury. So if you're carrying 100, 300 on the bodily injury of your liability, you would also carry 100, 300 on your uninsured motorist.
Why?
The state requires that they match. And then that pays bodily injury in your car if you're hit by a hit-and-run driver or an uninsured motorist.
Okay. And then is uninsured the same as underinsured?
No.
Okay, what's the difference with that one?
Okay, in Kansas they're included, but the underinsured is... Well, there was a company running an ad program for a while, and their big motto was, "We can get you state minimums." Oh boy. So they were pushing cheap and low to young people buying insurance on their own for the first time over the internet, or an 800 number without the advice of an agent. And all they're hearing is low and cheap. Okay, and so they were pushing the state minimum in Kansas is $25,000 per person, $50,000 per occurrence. So if you get hit by one of these guys, if they hurt you at all, that $25,000 isn't going to take care of it. So they would have been underinsured for your loss.
Okay.
So we would pick up the difference up to your limits.
Okay.
Now that in Kansas it's included. In Missouri, they're sold individually or separately. Uninsured motorist and underinsured motorist you purchase separately.
And these are general guidelines and rules that are state by state. right?
Insurance is
each
state
individual
regulated,
state.
yes.
Okay. How do we then know which coverage to get? How does a person decide, or what factors do you talk to them about to decide what coverage limits they should get?
Well, I think that's where the value of an agent comes in, because you have somebody that will sit down with you, figure out what your situation is. I'd mentioned earlier the state minimum limits are $25.50. We generally in my agency don't recommend anything lower than $100, $300. So even for somebody brand new out of college on their own for the first time, those are the minimum limits we would talk to them about. Someone like yourself that's a homeowner, professional occupation, what we would do is we would have at least $500,000 per person and or per occurrence for bodily injury, plus a $1 million umbrella liability policy on top of that.
And you can get umbrellas on top of auto insurance also?
Well, the reason they call it an umbrella is because it covers all of your underlying exposures, whether it's auto, home, boat, motorcycle, jet ski. Okay. So the premium is based on the number of underlying exposures that you have.
Okay. And once someone acquires insurance, are there any factors in their driving or anything that can cause their rates to go up?
Well, generally the policies are underwritten when you first make application. If 6 months or a year later you pick up a speeding ticket, chances are the insurance company doesn't know about that. Occasionally they will arbitrarily run motor vehicle reports. That could then affect your rate if they find a ticket. Again, you go back if you have that ticket and they're not aware of it, and then you have a small fender bender. Now they're going to know, because when they file the claim, they're going to run motor vehicle reports on everybody in the household and get their underwriting cleaned up.
Okay. And then the rates will go up?
Generally speaking, there are some companies out there now so we have an accident-free discount. Some companies now will say, well, we'll give you accident forgiveness, but that's actually an extra endorsement that you buy.
Oh, it's not. It doesn't come automatic.
No, in a lot of cases. Well, originally.
Okay.
So in my mind, it didn't make any sense, because you're paying extra. You're basically giving up your accident-free discount ahead of time for an accident that's never happened. So that really never made any sense to me. But Farmers has to compete with all the new things that everybody comes up with, whatever crazy ideas they are. So we went out and kind of a different angle at it. Instead of charging you for it, you have to earn it. So if you're with us for over a year and you've gone 3 years without an accident, we automatically apply accident forgiveness to your policy, which basically will forgive one accident in any 1 year.
Okay. So if someone did have a ticket or something that made the rate go up, how long does that increase last?
Generally, we look at a 3-year period.
Okay.
Accidents, usually, again, if it's the loss of the accident-free discount, the biggest hit is the first year, and then you get that discount back gradually over a 3-year period.
If someone did have their rates go up, can they contact their agent after 3 years and ask for it to be reviewed so that it can possibly go down?
Actually, the system automatically reviews it when it comes up for renewal and underwrites it each time.
Do you have any tips for people to use to negotiate their coverage?
There's no negotiating. It is what it is. The rates are based on your age, the type of vehicle you drive, your driving record, where you live, what kind of vehicle you drive. It's all pretty set in stone. The only variance would be, again, the type of coverage that you want, what your liability limits are going to be. If you want to lower your rates, you maybe go with larger deductibles, but you have to see if you save enough to make it worth doing.
And so tell us how the deductible works for auto insurance.
Well, under comprehensive, again, that's anything other than collision, fire, theft, vandalism, those types of things. Generally, you have a smaller deductible on comprehensive than you would on collision. So a typical might be a $250 deductible on comprehensive and $500 on collision.
And so what that means is if I have an accident, I'm going to have to pay $250 towards the damage.
Well, the $250 was the comprehensive, so that'd be like a hailstorm. So if your car got caught in a hailstorm, you'd pay the first $250. The insurance company would pay the balance up to the replacement cost of the vehicle.
Okay. And is the comprehensive, does the comprehensive cover the replacement of the vehicle?
Actual cash value, so whatever the current market value of your vehicle is.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Thank you so much, Don. This is very helpful.
Well, good.